Hey YouTube, I'm gonna do another video outside walking, and I'm just hoping I get a little heat going. I thought it would be okay at 49 degrees to walk outside with just a light jacket on and my coat or my t-shirt underneath, but I don't think that it really is. I'm gonna try it anyway and hope I get hot if I just steamroll through the whole thing. So yeah, I'd like to take a little bit of footage about something it's been on my mind for a little while with regard to carnivore. I've been watching another lady. I think her name is Stephanie Keto Person or Stephanie Carnivore Person. And what drew me to her was that she's my exact age. And she seems very well researched and grounded as a human being. And I like that a lot. She's got some kind of off-putting, disturbing anecdotals and research-based stuff that she's been putting forward about the carnivore diet. And I do agree with some of her suppositions about, you know, how each part of the carnivore journey, as far as macros and nutrients and different things, does not match for every person. So in that regard, and she did touch on thyroid stuff several times. Sounds to me like she doesn't have a thyroid problem, or she'd be speaking a little differently about it. But I think she knows a lot of her stuff, and she's not willing to just peg everybody into the same dogma. I would say, even though she feels like we shouldn't all just be strictly carnivore because she feels like it's too much protein for the body and we need more fat, I'm going to go with the bio-individuality, and that I agree in part, but not categorically, with some of her suppositions about protein needs aren't as high as what we're being touted as, and so forth and so on. But some of this, the very long-term keto women, they don't have thyroid complications, are not actually having as much protein. They're having way more than her, but their fat's less and their protein's less than what she thinks is kind of dangerous. I need a lot of fat in my diet because I have Hashimoto's. This 120, 130, 140 fat grams per day doesn't work for me. So I need quite a bit more just to be regular and function right with my Hashimoto's. And that way she's really correct. And I keep watching her because she's very intelligent. And I like that too. I have to switch arms because it becomes too trying for me. All I've got is about 3 minutes on something. But, and of course, I'd like to start doing lives and stuff on my YouTube channel. But I'm speaking to a different segment of the population. She's exceptional in that she's very outdoorsy and she works out a lot. And she has for most of her life, and I think she has a hard time grasping that there are other people that don't want to be like that. You know, part of the allure on carnivore is that I worked out like a fiend for upwards of 30 plus years. Only missed like a day a week. I was really religious about it. And half of why I did it was because I thought it was calories in, calories out. That if I worked out and ate less and restricted eating and was careful, I never believed in low fat, but the other stuff I did, I could maintain my weight. And then when I got a full-time job and I didn't have those options as much anymore as far as freedom of time went, weight started creeping on. What I didn't realize is that hormones were in play and all kinds of other things. So she's an exceptional person with the option of freedom of time to some degree. And I am going for a different segment of the population. I am talking to the demographic who don't have any time, who just want to be human beings and not have their thought processes laden with a bunch of engagement over how much to eat, what to eat. And the simplicity of carnivore cannot be dissuaded. It just can't. Then there's also been the discussion of, you know, people having bags underneath their eyes and dark circles and poor skin and all these surfacing topical things that tell you that the carnivore diet exclusively without the plant kingdom is the way to go, and that it really isn't, and they're not being truthful. Well, my heart beats down low. My A1C is great. My insulin is 77 to 80 every day. That only happened when I gave up all plants. So for me, For me and my Hashimoto's and the autoimmune challenges I have in my system that she apparently hasn't been challenged by, doesn't mean she hasn't had her own challenges. I'm not getting on top of her dick. That's not what this is. This is me just saying how we're different, but we're the same age. I don't subscribe. If I had plants, I'd be in trouble. I don't start getting well and having those kinds of numbers until I'm deep into it. Like 2-3 months is when I start noticing that I'm really getting well again. Yeah, I can go off the wagon and have a keto thing here or there, once every 5 or 6 weeks, and it's okay. My body can adjust. It's not a daily, I'll tell you what. No way. No how. I'm going up a big hill right now, so I'm going to be catching my breath on that one. And I'm trying to stay warm too, because it's cool outside right now. It's about 49 or 50. And it's got that chill to the air still because I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Anyway, I want to promote her channel. She's got 105,000 followers. She's been on since the dawn of time. And she's a wealth of information. She seems to be unprejudiced by anybody's perspective or viewpoint. She's got her own. She says she's never going to quit. She looks terrific, in part because she works at it. But I feel like my demographic is a different animal. I don't think there's going to be any women watching me that want to have abs and want to spend a bunch of time in the gym. I think the women that are watching me are women that want to like their lives more and do more with their time and their families and not have to be straddling a gym or getting into a certain amount of physical activity. And that was always the attraction of carnivore for me. I was like, okay, I eat species-specific food and it nourishes me and I don't have to eat that often and I don't have to be hungry and I sleep really great during the night. It's improved my vision. I'm moving toward regularity, but it's not a perfect thing because Hashi's people, we don't have regularity. We need a certain protocol to have it. And mine is a lot of fat and I'm just trying to work up to that. Work up to the amount that I need. And I think I probably need an excess of about 160 grams a day for a time, we're saying 10 days or more, before I'll start to notice regularity. And then she also says, if you don't poop every day, she said, something's wrong with you. Well, not necessarily. Everybody's system's really different. Mine runs slow. And so if I was going every other day, that'd be more than enough for me. And then, of course, if you're not going every day, the volume of stool is different too, isn't it? So that's so much from a point of someone that doesn't ever experience constipation or anything like this. And she's found a way for her system specifically to work better. And that's great. And that's all I can offer too. Like all I can offer is, this is what's made me more well. This is what's regulated my numbers. And this is what you might want to adopt for your own self. That's all I can do. That's all I can offer. Stephanie, I subscribe to her. She's lovely. She's got such a huge following. I don't want anyone to misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm offering a counterbalance. And she makes this point over and over again in her content that it's not a one size fits all. And if there's other gals in their 50s watching, I think there's enough room for all of us in the carnivore, keto space, so that women some things that aren't working out for them, they have different women to look at and say, oh, I have what she's talking about. Oh, she has an answer for this specific problem. My mom had rheumatoid arthritis, and so autoimmune stuff is just rampant in my family. My mom's aunt had it. My sister has Hashimoto's. My second cousin has Hashimoto's. It's on my maternal side. And I was convinced that my diet could improve it. And Stephanie's right. Most people that come to carnivore are doing it primarily for weight loss. Since I'm only about 10 pounds more than I would ideally want to be, the weight loss thing is not a huge thing. I definitely want to lose the 10 pounds, but it's just kind of there floating around at the bottom of the totem pole. I was scared. I had all the things she was talking about. I had the dark circles underneath my eyes. I had heart palpitations. That's all thyroid stuff. And then when I got on carnivore, and I don't mean goofing around dirty carnivore like I've messed around with, dirty keto for 6 years. I mean clean eating carnivore, where I get off of all the junk and I just eat meat. Right now I'm not even having cheese. I just want meat, and I'm going to make it that way for a little while and see where it goes. So I'm sharing the space with Stephanie, and I'm promoting her channel now, not because she needs a little peon like me to promote her. I mean, 105,000 followers, but because I believe in her message. And I think her message is a compliment to mine. And I've even taken away a few things from what she said, and I'm very well researched myself, but mainly motivated and in a direction that helps me individually. I'm working for myself to get myself well, and if there's anything I think people would like to know that would help others, I'm also having it out there so that they can also get well. And it's for men too, though I feel like I can't uniquely speak toward their gender. I do have a husband. I'm lucky enough to be married to somebody that is ketovore to carnivore, and his needs are really a lot different than mine, and he has gotten some benefits I haven't. He's super physical in his job right now, and he's building muscle like a boss. His muscles are having babies right now, and he's going to be 57 in November. I've made his protein higher, and I could care less. If I hit the 80, 90, 100 gram markers of protein every day, that's just fine. I'm not worried about it. The fat I am worried about, because like Stephanie says, if you're not burning glucose, and I'm not, because I'm not taking any in, I'm so fat adapted. I can feel it if I haven't had enough. More is better for me. I liked her hit for the 200 grams. I thought that wasn't untoward. There's a lot of people that would be like, oh my gosh, I'd be so fat on that. And I'm like, no, not if your other stuff is right. And I do also agree with lesser protein for women, especially. It's like, unless you're actively building muscle, what does it do for you? Well, it overloads, like she's saying, the kidneys and stuff. I don't think we have to be at 55 to 65 like she is, but I don't see going over 100 as any great big boon. But boy, the fat up there is nice. And it hasn't made me gain weight at all. I mean, I'm trying for a minimum of 160 a day. But what I really need is to be up there closer to what she was talking about. But not for the reason she's talking about. For me, it's like my body runs better on high fat. I don't know if it's an individual thing or it's the Hashis or both. I can't extrapolate which one it would be. Definitely I need a lot of fat. And what I notice is if I don't get enough, if it sinks down below 150, I'll wake up in the morning with a big headache. It's not because I'm not drinking water. It's not because I'm not having salt. I'm doing all that stuff. But if I have plenty of fat, like 160 and above, I wake up feeling like a champ. So definitely the fat thing is super important. Super important. And I'm glad that she's got her message is slightly different than mine, because then, you know, not that anybody's going to find me, but I'm diligent. And I'm like her, I'm never going to shut up. Because like her, I'm sure she's motivated in part to help others. She's like, wow, can I help you with your health? Because people don't even know what it's like to feel well. They felt less than optimal for so long that that's their normal. And so I can't convince people, say, like I have a close relative that's got all the same problems that I do, and she does not want to do the hard line. She'd rather take the pill and hide her head in the sand and say, well, you know, that's good for Tamara, good for her. She can keep on banging her head on the wall, right? It's not about that. It's about not being beholden or dependent on big pharma or anyone for my own health. Doctors, anything. I want to make it so that the only time I go in to see a doctor or a hospital is because I was adult and I fell off a ladder. That's when I want to go into the doctor. I'm like, yeah, I broke this. Brace it. Cast it. Whatever you need to do. I don't want to go in because I was slowly poisoning myself with toxicity. So think about what you're doing. And it's baby steps, guys. I know I sound like I'm lecturing and that I've got it all together. I don't. I'm still discovering things about my system and what works and what doesn't work. The good news is that every single tiny baby step you take towards your health gets you closer to the end goal of living longer and feeling better while you're living longer. So what if you live to be 100 and feel like garbage every day? How's that good? I'll take my mother-in-law, for instance. She's a perfect example. She's lost almost 50 pounds. Yeah, about 50 pounds now. And she just went low carb. She tries to keep her carbs under, 50 a day, 40 a day, something like that. And she eats until she's exactly full and then she stops. And she's been chubby her whole life. And this is the first time she's been thin without effort. She's not willing to get rid of the plant kingdom. So she's kind of like keto, sort of. But what she's done is she's curtailed so much of what she used to do that it's very interesting. She lost the 40 pounds right away. And then a year later, she was down another 10. And she goes, I'm perfectly happy at 140, she said. I said, I think your body is still recalibrating. And I said, you still got some weight to lose. She didn't have a lot, but I'm, 20 or less, right? And so she's like, well, whatever. Well, lo and behold, another half year later, she's down another 3 or 4 pounds. So her body is recalibrating naturally and very slowly. And I told her, I said, I told her this about 6 months ago. I said, another year you could be down 4 or 5 pounds. I said, another year from that, maybe another 2 or 3. I said, and then 1 year you won't lose any more. And that's where you're going to know that's where your body wants you. And that's what I'm trying for too. I'm like, if I just eat until I'm full and I eat meat that I know I can't gain weight on, I'm not going to gain weight eating meat. And it's impossible for me to overeat eating meat. And that's saying something because I've got a swine appetite. I mean, swine appetite. Oh yeah. I can almost eat as much as my husband, and his is even more. Of course, that poor guy, he needs 3 pounds of meat right now, each day. That's how hard he's working. My God. My mother-in-law is a great case in point. And she still goes off the rails, and once or twice a month she'll have some fries or something like that. She doesn't take herself too seriously, but what she does is she's real careful on the dailies. And she eats till she's full, and she doesn't ever overeat now. And if she wants a little something sweet, she has a little tiny bit of it. And what she does is she gets it in the house. This is really cool. I thought this was smart. She gets all the sweets in the house, and she just lets them clog up one of her drawers. And she says, for some reason, when they're just available like that, she's like, yeah, I don't have to have it today. And then when she's desperate, it's there. She says if she doesn't have it around, she feels like she has to go out and get it and have a lot of it. So she's found her sweet spot of discipline, and there she is. And she is looking good, guys. 77 and a half. She'll be 78 in June, and she's got longevity on her side. Her grandparents were over 100, and her mom died at 93. So I told Mom, I said, you could be around another 20 years. Let's make it count. Let's make those 20 years where you're still running around, behaving as though you're a young thing, like she is now. I mean, she's exactly the same person she was when I first met her when she was in her mid-30s. I mean, she doesn't act any different. She's not dothering. She's not withering. She's not doing any of that crap. She looks great. I mean, KF and bueno. I'm excited. If someone that was having that much trouble for that long had the discipline and the wherewithal to listen to what I was saying and adopt what she liked about what I was doing, and still she got that result. I mean, it's worth doing because we're old. I'm postmenopausal finally, and she's way past postmenopausal. And all these women that are my age have given up. They're like, yep, this is my end. Being thin is for the young girls. Not going to be able to. Bullshit it is. Bullshit it is. You can do anything you want to do. There's another gal. I think it's Carnivorous Me. She's a humongous gal. And she is just impressive as F. She's out there. She's lost like 80 pounds in 8 months or something. And she's out there, got her heart on her sleeve, doing all her stuff. She's an impressive girl. I think she's gotten a lot of hate. This is very interesting to me. Instead of other really obese people being excited about her success, they attack her. They're like, you should not be ashamed of how fat you are. I'm like, this isn't a shame game, guys. This isn't about shame. This is about cheering for a human being that's got the guts to go for it. And she wants to share her journey with others in the hopes they'll have the guts to follow. You know, monkey see, monkey do on that one. Anyway, she's cool and she's doing it. She's a lot more organized person than I am, I think. But that's okay. We all have our shtick. And my shtick is that I am overcommitted to the gills. And that's why I have to take my content when I'm walking. Now, you guys know I hate walking. Anybody that follows me on my clapper following and some of my ones where I have more people, I'm just starting here on YouTube. I had a YouTube channel a while ago for free audiobooks because I'm a writer. And YouTube took it down because there was some sexual content within the story. It wasn't for gratuitous sexual gratification. It was just part of the story. And they went, no, we can't have that. And I had 2,000 subs. And I was like, okay, great. So I put it all on Rumble. Rumble doesn't care. So I'm like, okay, controversial stuff goes there. Pearl clutchers need not apply, right? So anyway, but you guys know, on Clapper I've got 24,500 followers. So I have a pretty substantial following there. And I really like it. And they put up with all my shtick. I don't have time to even sit down and do a live thing. But I'm trying to make the time. But I love my job of writing. That keeps me in the chair. And so what I told myself was that, you know, this is the magical age for me to get RA. 55 to 60 is such a huge time to come down with it that I've decided that I'm definitely going to make it hard. Meat-centric diet, inflammatory foods omitted, daily movement, and that kind of thing. And then I do believe in oxalates, and that's another area where Stephanie and I are not seeing eye to eye. I'll tell you why. Is because when Pubs went carnivore, cold turkey, for 6 months, he was nothing but that. He was in agony. This was back in May of 20. And he had about 10.5 months of sheer agony. First it started, because oxalate like to congregate by surgery sites and injury sites. And so first it started where he had injuries. First his knees, then his hip, then it went to his neck. And it was almost like the body was going, okay, this is the worst congregation of these guys. We're taking him out. And of course, perfectly good cells need to export the oxalate and they commit kamikaze suicide to get rid of them. And then more cells have to come in. And all his joints in those areas where the oxalate had been congregated felt hollowed out, he said. When that stopped hurting there and it went to the next place, it felt like he had a lot of weakness in that joint. And it would have been because all that material, those oxalates, were no longer there because of the body's exportation of them, because we don't have a good system to do that with. And once they were out, then his body had to work overtime filling in the now empty crevice, the tissue, because oxalates had been there. And so we've had people take him to task and say, there's no such thing as oxalate. And he goes, oh, yes, there is. That was one of the most painful experiences of my life. So yes, toxicity does exist in vegetables. And I don't want anyone to have anything that's got oxalate in it. A few things that don't, for instance, onion, cauliflower, ripe avocado. I don't have nightshades because they're Hashi poisonous pills. So for me, back to the simplicity. For me, it makes more sense to just stay eating carnivore and very rarely deviate from that, because you don't have to think, does this have oxalate? Does this have lectins? Does this have this toxin, this plant thing? Because that's how they defend themselves. They can't run away from predators. So they have to have built-in toxins so that the predators are less likely to continue to return to them so they can survive. Or they get sick and poisoned. I was reading all these. I've got Sally K. Norton's book. It's like a Bible. I was reading all her thoughts on different studies and stuff, and there have been studies with mice that died from getting spinach. You know, and it's not bioavailable for calcium. This propaganda to love vegetables instead of having what actually nourishes us the best it's been going on a long time. Remember Popeye? Eat your spinach, have big muscles. What dolt came up with that? It doesn't build muscles. There's no protein that's bioavailable in spinach. That's bullshit. But somebody wanted us to believe it. And I know it's a Seventh-day Adventist push, because like Kellogg is steeped in that religion, where for some reason they were concerned about people masturbating, and they thought if you took protein out of the diet, they would stop that. So they just started having people be proponents of vegetable stuff, because they thought people would stop masturbating. And so that's why Kellogg's are weird. They're just weird. And that's how it started. And nobody really knows that history. They were pervasive in the processed food industry, of course, Kellogg. And they wanted everybody to have this vegetable matter, because from a sanctimonious, purist standpoint, they thought, yeah, we don't want you to have meat because then you're going to be sexually deviant. Like masturbation, sexually deviant. Gonna get an evil eye on that. No. Come on. Very weird. And of course, libido is powerful and normal when you're eating what you're supposed to. Like brain composition and acuum is as well. It all goes together. The takeaway from all this is follow Stephanie. She's too knowledgeable and too wealthy with her succinct and wonderful opinions not to follow. But remember, it's better to follow a lot of different carnivores if you're interested in that diet plan. And cherry pick the things that work for you, and then experiment with that regime for yourself. Because I can't do all the things she does, because my circumstance is unique, though we're both female and 55. And I don't know what her issues are and what she's had to heal from and stuff, but, you know, probably something. But she's been some form of keto for many years, so she's way ahead of the march than I am. She's probably more diligent too. I've done a lot of fasting in my time. The last 3 years, I've been an aggressive faster. And I can do it. But I'm wanting to get away from that now. Except for maybe once in a while, if I don't feel real well or I'm getting sick, then I would fast and allow my body to manage that problem. Otherwise, it's not that I don't agree with it. It's just that for my kind of controlling personality, I think it's better for me to do it on occasion rather than as a regime. Because I'll force myself to do anything I've put my mind to, even if it's not the best thing. So for me, I'd rather just fast naturally, which is turning out to be, I don't know, I think I'm going 16, 18 hours, and that's just a natural fast. That's not me trying. I've done rolling 48s. I even did a couple 72s. I've done some fasting. Fat fasting, clean fasting. Now one of the carnivore gurus who I love, she's going to do sardine fasting. And I love her, but I think that's a little bit gimmicky. Like for me, my body would have to really scoop from its fat storage, and I don't want to make it do that right now. I'm trying to get well. Trying to get my body into a position that it trusts me. And right now it doesn't. So, and for good reason. So I'd rather just give myself the adequate nutrition and make sure that I'm getting that. And then I'll goof around with these gimmicky things if I choose to. She doesn't like sardines, so this is kind of funny to me. But I do like sardines and have them probably 3 or 4 times a week. But, you know, they're heavy in protein, and I'm only going to have them on days where I haven't had enough. You know, I'm running around 70 or 80. I like to be around 100, 2 to 1 on that fat. And so I think Stephanie's on to something with the fat stuff. So if I were you, I'd follow her. I like Carnivore Doctor. I like Sean Baker. I liked Steak and Butter Girl. But she has had a family emergency thing, and so she's been out of producing fresh content, but she's got a lot of content. She's especially powerful for ex-vegans or people that are vegan and now questioning the sustainability of being a vegan. You know, they're either having some health malaise. It takes about 3 to 5 years of being strict vegan before a person has depleted all their nutrient stores. So people can sometimes feel very good being a vegan initially, and then suddenly they hit a wall and they start really going downhill fast because they don't have anything there. There was a kid named Joey Schwartz that did a powerful video with an ex-vegan girl that was like, I don't know, 6 years vegan, really, really disciplined girl. And she was just going down the tubes. Her teeth were trying to fall out. And she was like, how can this be? I'm doing all the mantra. I'm doing all the whole foods. I'm doing all the supplements. I'm doing, and gosh, she's smart. But these young people between the ages of about 13 and 30 are very malleable and easily influenced by the heartstring stuff. And some of it's valid. I mean, we ethically source our meat as much as possible because I'm not into animal suffering. It's not why I'm a carnivore. I'm a carnivore because I need to nourish my body. And that's what my body wants, and that's what it needs. So it's not about abusing animals to get it. It's about being humane and being grateful that their lives nourish yours. That's what the whole viewpoint is. A lot of carnivores feel that way. Very unusual that, like Saladino, I don't give him my recommendation. He's put on videos of him holding like deer's hearts and stuff. He's like trying to be clickbaity and gimmicky. And I'm like, is that the respect that animal deserved? Is that helping vegans and vegetarians see another perspective? What are you doing? And now he's having 300 grams of carbohydrates a day. I'm like, okay, no. And it's just disappointing to me that he seems to be more interested in hooking people than just converting people to what will help with their health. That's been a disappointment, but wrap this up, you guys. I got another hill. I'm just dying here. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to my channel if you dig my content and you think it's been of value. And please like this and help my channel grow. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. And I wouldn't be spending all this time doing it unless I believed with my whole heart this might help other people. And it also keeps me from bugging my family. Mm-hmm.